Welcome, friends. You're listening to the Swears and Does Hair podcast for bridal hairstylists and makeup artists looking to take their business to new levels. Here we tackle topics such as mindset, finances, balancing business with motherhood, and healthy strategies to keep your body and mind supporting your business rather than holding it back. I'm your host, Sue Minsky, business coach for bridal artists and creator of the Next Level Bridal Business Program. Thanks for joining me. I can't wait to dig into today's topic, so let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Swears and Does Hair podcast. I am your host, Suzanne Minsky, and today we are going to be talking about retirement planning. And this may seem kind of like a weird topic for hairstylists or makeup artists or the bridal industry, but it's something that a lot of people don't necessarily think about until it's too late. So, as somebody who recently retired from the bridal industry. I don't do hair and makeup for weddings anymore. I focus just on my coaching business and creating educational content like this podcast, YouTube video, Instagram, master classes, my courses, one on one coaching, all the other things that I do as a business coach for people in this industry. Um, I have a lot to say about what it took me to get to this point and what retirement has kind of really actually looked like, how I got here, a little bit about my story, and then a little bit about what you can do as well if you're kind of at the point where I know a lot of people are. After the last few years, where you're like, I don't know whether or not this is really the right path for me anymore, or you just really are ready to start to scale back, but are scared about losing the income that working in the wedding industry provides. Or you've done it for so long, you don't really know what that looks like without just kind of walking away and quitting and being like, that's it. I'm just not doing this anymore. So, my information is going to be a little bit of mix of what I did, what works for me, and then what I would kind of change and do again, and what I recommend for other people. So, hopefully, you don't hear too much of my neighbors kind of going on in the background. Hopefully, but if so, I really apologize, guys. I couldn't put off recording this any longer. It's going to be released a week and a half late already, as it is, because I was super sick. If you listened to the last episode 57, I had to film that yesterday because I finally had an opportunity to do that. So that one was late because I was just really, really sick and had really lost my voice for a long time, and finally got to an opportunity where I could record and speak again. But then I had some other kinds of stuff that I needed to do as well. Yesterday, I had a live masterclass that I did over Zoom, so I had to film that. And then also on top of like everything else, I think that it just everybody in my neighborhood, there's a million houses around, and we're all super close. Everybody mows their lawn at every time of day. So I feel like every time I've tried to record in the last 2 days, I've gone to like go and hit play, and somebody's mowing their fucking lawn. So if there's some background noise today, I'm sorry. I couldn't put it off any longer. It was more important for me to get this created and try and edit things out in the background than it is for me to just put it off and wait. And that's a message that I kind of want to get to you about when it comes to all types of content and all of the things that you create for your business. It's more important for you to get the message out there than it is for you to get it out there perfectly. In marketing, the name of the game is repetition. You just want to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, because every single day there are new people that are coming into your world who have never heard your message before. All right. And so if you are not getting people who are reading your website enough, and you're not getting people who are following directions, you're literally just not telling them enough times. We can expect that by the time people are ready to get married, yes, they're intelligent adults and can take care of themselves. But unfortunately, after 16 years in the industry, that's bullshit. That's a pipe dream. people are not necessarily capable of handling and juggling all of these details and being well informed all the time. So, it's our job to make sure that they have access to the information frequently. All right. So, when you are creating the same informational content over and over again, it's important to just get it out there and refine the message as you go. So, today's just a little perfect example of it's more important for me to get the message out there than it is to worry about it being the perfect timing for it. Okay. So, let's get into today's episode. What does retirement look like? How to plan for it? Well, right now, retirement for me means that I'm not actively booking my own weddings. Okay. Does that mean that I'm not doing weddings at all? Not necessarily. I still assist for my best friend when she needs me. Now, for 2023, that's like 4 weddings, I think. And then I had 3 weddings of my own, technically, where I was the lead hair and makeup artist. 2 I did this past weekend, yes, while really super sick, because one of them was one of my old salon clients, and she had made me promise that one day, whenever she got married, that I would be the person who does the hair and makeup for her. And so I honored that, and I still booked her. Technically, she signed the contract in January of 2023, and in October of 2022, I had stopped marketing my business and I had stopped accepting contracts. But when she reached out and was like, "Hey, can you still do it for me this coming June?" I said, "Yeah, girl, I got you." So I was really hoping that it would be in Hawaii because she was from Hawaii, but sadly, she said that it was going to just be here local in Washington, D.C. But it was still a fun semi destination because I got to spend the night at the hotel the night before. The second one that was that following weekend, because it was her wedding was Friday. Saturday was my cousin up in Connecticut. So of course I can't say no to my cousin. So I did the hair and makeup for her and her new wife. And then I have a third one who, again, is a very special client of mine. She and I met. We were both taking DCA, which is the course academy for Amy Porterfield. So it's Digital Course Academy, and it is basically like how to create an online course. So she and I were going through the academy at the same time, and she was getting new branding headshots. She found me online because she's local to me. And she was like, "Will you do my hair and makeup for my headshots?" We really connected because we were both becoming course creators at the same time at the end of 2020. So it was really cool. We connected, and then she was just like, "Hey, I'm having a quick elopement this fall. Will you do my hair and makeup for that?" Because I've done her hair and makeup for all her branding sessions and for her engagement photos. It's I think this weekend is going to be her shower or something like that. So we're doing her trial and all these kinds of things. So it was really important to me to be able to be there for her. So that's kind of what retirement is so sort of looking for me this first year. I'm still doing a little bit of weddings. I couldn't necessarily cut it out cold turkey. I tried that once before. That lasted for about 2 years, and then I was like, no, I need to get back into weddings. So for my first year, I was like, I don't want to quit cold turkey again because I know that I've been going for so many years. I didn't want to suddenly feel the absence. But over the last 3 years, I have been slowly backing myself out and creating this new pathway. So, what that kind of looked like for me was really deciding that my children are going off to college in a few short years. I have 4 years left with my youngest, 2 years left with my oldest. And it looks like the two of them are not going to be living at home and going to like a local college. They're going to be like going away. My 16-year-old is looking at 2 different places, even out of state, not just an in-state one where he's going to be able to be like 3 hours from home kind of thing. So I knew that my time with them was limited. They are super busy during the week, which means my only opportunity to really spend time with them when they're not doing Boy Scouts or dance or drama or robotics, or all these or homework or all these other things was weekends. When does mom work? Mom works weekends. And so it just really became very important to me that I reprioritized them. I started in the bridal industry when they were babies, actually, when I was pregnant with my second one. I did a wedding a week or so before, about 10 days before he was born, and then I did another wedding 2 weeks after he was born. So I only took like a 3 week gap in between and was like, well, really hope that the baby's born during these 3 weeks. That was dumb. But I was literally brand new to the industry. I started doing weddings full time when I was pregnant with him so that I wouldn't have to pay for 2 kids in daycare. I had done weddings part time while working at a cosmetics counter at Macy's with my younger one. But then it became very apparent that I was not going to be able to afford 2 children in daycare with what I was doing. So I had to think of a new pathway for money for me. And weddings was a great opportunity because I could stay home with them Monday through Friday, only take weddings on Saturday and Sunday. My husband was home with the boys on the weekend. So it really became this kind of ideal, perfect opportunity for me to get into this industry. And then they kind of went off to school, and suddenly I was home during the week, not really doing anything. And I was working so much on the admin side of my business that it really started to impact my relationship with them and my relationship with my husband. I've talked a little bit about this before on my Instagram, not really too much in the podcast before, but it really started to interfere with my marriage. I was running a team at the time. We were getting ready to build a brand new house. My mother-in-law um, had bought a house near us, and we had to move in with her for a little while, or a new house was being built. So it was just like this huge period of transition, and I really, really burnt out. And that was that first time where I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm retired from weddings. I'm not doing weddings anymore. I quit. I tried to become a mommy blogger, and that totally did not work. And then I went back to cosmetology school instead of just esthetician school. And I went from doing just makeup to hair and makeup. Okay. And my goal was I was going to work in a salon, and I was just going to have like a salon from home after a while. And I was going to do that so that I could have my clients during the school day and then have my evenings and weekends back with my kids. Well, that didn't quite work out, and I tried to blend the two for a long time and brought weddings back in, and then ended up giving up the salon part. So it's been a long career with a lot of transition as I've tried to juggle still having this career, still being able to provide for my family while still trying to manage my time with my children, because my children and my husband are always going to be my number one priority. And anytime something gets in the way of that, guess what? That thing has to go away, or I need to shift. I need to make changes so that they become the priority again. My business should never be my priority. Okay. My family is always going to be my priority. So, as my career has kind of grown and shifted, I've had to find new ways to continue to further my career, so that I could keep helping to pay the bills without it really impacting my business, or my family as much as possible. So when I was just like, okay, my family really needs to become my priority, I need my weekends back. I need to stop doing weddings again, because my kids are too busy during the week, and there's no other opportunity, there's no other choice. I need my weekends back. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this? Since turning 40 last month, I have started to put a little bit more priority on my health. I've gained about 20 pounds in the last 3 years. I mean, kind of who hasn't? Hello, COVID, and like the world falling apart every 30 seconds. There's been a lot of stress and things like that. And then recently hitting the milestone of 40, I kind of decided it was time to take a step back, and it was time to reevaluate my health and the choices that I was making. So I downloaded an app, and it's kind of like a daily habit tracker type of thing. And the first thing that it says to do every morning is to drink a glass of water. And I don't know if you are like me, but I don't really love the taste of water. Some people add like lemon juice or, whatnot to their water to make it taste better. I don't like that. I need flavor. I need something else. So I use a stick of liquid IV in my water in the morning, because in just one stick, you get 5 essential vitamins and 2 times faster hydration than water alone. So I add it to a bottle of water. I keep them sitting right on my nightstand, put it in, shake it up, and then I drink the water while I kind of start to get ready for my day. So I'm not the kind of person who gets up and works out first thing in the morning, but I do like to make sure that I have something in my stomach before I'm kind of like up and about. And water is the healthiest thing that you can add. So putting that little stick of liquid IV into my water is so much better for actually motivating me, because I used to just keep a glass of water on the nightstand and just be like, okay, I will just drink it because it will be right there in front of me. And then I'd maybe make it through about half of it. Liquid IV tastes so good that I just basically drink the whole bottle, and then I've got a whole bottle's worth of water in my system before I ever take my first sip of coffee in the morning. So it's super convenient, and they have a bunch of really awesome flavors. I love the pina colada, the watermelon, and the strawberry. Those are my favorite. My husband and my sons love it too. They like the lemon lime though. So I have partnered with Liquid IV to help you try their product and get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code SWEARS and does hair at checkout. So you're going to get 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code SWEARS and does hair at liquidiv.com. You can go to today's show's notes and click the link, and I will have the promo code down there as well for you so that you can be on your way to prioritizing your health, whether you're 40, whether you're in your 20s, 30s, or even older than I am. Everybody needs to make sure that they are properly hydrating their body. Okay, computer was overheating, so I had to close down that recording and start over. So if you're watching in the YouTube video and you're like, why is it looking so different? Computer was sitting in the sun and it was overheating. So lighting is now different. It is a separate recording that we're going to blend together. So yay. So basically what happened with me was I knew I had to shift. I knew I had to make these changes, and I sat down and was like, what does this look like for me? And I was already contemplating this before COVID hit. And I had started to kind of back off of weddings and was like, okay, I'm just going to continue with my salon business because I had a home studio and I was seeing color clients and cut clients and things like that, my spray tanning business during the week. And that was going to be what my retirement plan was. Life doesn't always happen the way that you expect it to. So you have to be flexible. You really have to be willing to shift what your idea of what this is actually going to look like for you in order to really kind of make it work. And that kind of happened for me when COVID happened. So 2020 hit, March of 2020, the world kind of all shut down. And my salon business was really thrown for a loop. I was like, well, what am I going to do? I don't want to keep bringing these people into my house who could make me or my family sick. My mother-in-law has emphysema and has an autoimmune disorder and things like that. So she was just like super high risk. And it was like, well, what is this actually going to like look like now for me? Does this mean that I go back into just doing weddings? But then there's still all this risk with that as well. So it really forced me to kind of reevaluate, well, what is my retirement strategy from weddings? How am I going to get this time back? How am I going to get these weekends back? And I needed to really think of a new plan. But at that time, there was so many people who were like, well, I need to keep making money, so I'm going to start doing education. All right. Independent education had started to really kind of pick up and become more of a thing. And there were business educators who were like, hey, I'm going to teach the salon side of things and business. And then there were people who were like, I'm going to teach updos Everybody had a doll head and everybody had an iPhone. So everybody just started creating a ton of content and marketing themselves as educators, which was an amazing freaking opportunity for them. And I briefly toyed with it. I was like, well, I'm pretty good at hair. I love teaching, I love educating. And I tried to kind of do a little bit of that at the beginning. So if you like go way back on my Instagram from like May of 2020 kind of thing, like I was trying to do these updo videos, and I talked to my husband for a little while, like, well, maybe I'll just become an updo educator. But then that really was like, well, once COVID is over, people are going to expect to go back to in person. And do I really want to travel and all those kinds of things and be away from the kids again? And that would just kind of not necessarily solve the problem that I was trying to solve. So I was like, where is there a gap in the marketplace? And I realized that there was really nobody at that time who was talking about the business side of things, the business education for bridal hairstylists and for bridal makeup artists. And I was like, I have all of these years of experience. I love teaching. Let me start that. And then I started and I created my first course. And then I was like, okay, no, I really love this. This is going to be my strategy. This is going to be my out. This is going to be my path. And so it's taken me the last 3 years to really be able to build up the coaching business and the education side of things to the point where it was replacing my bridal income. During the week, I still work for a handful of photographers, but I'm incredibly picky about who they are. There's 3 of them that I will come to their studio and work with their clients and do the hair and makeup for portrait clients. And then I do my spray tanning business because I can still do that at home. And those are still good enough for me to have my finger on, the beauty industry and to still be working one-on-one with clients and still have that interaction. Um, but it's again, as part of my retirement plan, I want to get away from working with clients one on one. I want to have 110% control of my schedule. We are going to Scotland in a few weeks. And then we have like 2 weeks at home. And then we are down in Miami and the Keys for summer camp for my son, or for one of my sons, and the other one and me are going down to just enjoy Miami and the Keys and see family. And we're going to be driving back through Florida. And so my husband was asking me like, well, when do we need to be back by? And I was like, look, I didn't schedule anything. I want to be able to stay with friends and family down in Florida for as long as we need to. My husband works from home as well, so he can literally just log into a computer anywhere, and he has all this flex time, and like he's so much more flexible with his business than a traditional like desk job. So we really have a lot of opportunity to manipulate our schedules and to be able to travel and to be able to do these kinds of things. So I was like, no, I don't want to book anything. And really that's the point that I want to be at full time. To me, that's when I will actually feel retired, okay, from the beauty industry. I don't actually work one-on-one with clients anymore. So I'm not 100% retired. That's not really where I consider myself right now. I'm semi-retired. I'm retired at least from the wedding industry. So that is my story. When it comes to you, the audience, the listener who is like, I don't know how much longer I can do this. Either you've been doing this for a really long time, and I found that like that range where people kind of hit that their point, their maximum, where they're just like, I can't really do this anymore. It's somewhere between 15 to 20 years. 15 to 20 years of giving up your weekends and sacrificing time with family and friends and special events and hauling a kit all over the place and standing for long hours and getting up super early times on the weekends and things like that really does start to take a toll. And 15 to 20 years, that's a really long freaking time to be doing that. It is a very physically demanding field. So if you're not quite to that 15 years yet and you're like, shit, I'm kind of really actually already starting to think about retiring, or you've pushed yourself to the point of burnout and you're like, I need an out, I need something else, is retirement the right opportunity for me right now? That's okay. It's normal. It's a really demanding industry that we're in. It requires a lot of physical sacrifice and it requires a lot of time and emotional, relationship wise sacrifice. So, but I found that most people are really starting to hit the point where they're like, I'm done with weddings, somewhere between 15 to 20 years. There are people who make it past 20 years who are like, I've been doing this for 23, 25 years and I love it and I will never leave. Cool. There are people they've got all of their ducks in a row, and kudos to you. I absolutely love you. But if that is not your situation, that's cool. That's fine. That's what today's conversation is really about. It's for you. Okay? So, you're not alone. There are so many people out there, and sometimes to reinvigorate your love for the industry, it means making changes to the back end and the admin side of things and how you run your business. It could be cutting back, it could be streamlining your process. It could be, you know, giving your some of your admin to an administrative assistant, hiring a VA. It could be outsourcing other portions of your business. It could be building and growing a team, and slowly starting to back away. And that can continue and give you another 5 or 10 years in this industry, because you've taken so much of the pressure off of yourself. Um, and it could be just that, you are ready to retire. So if you're somebody who is kind of considering, well, what is the shelf life of this career for me in my particular situation, I would say really think about, why why do you want to leave the industry? Is it something like me where, I mean, I love the bridal industry. I love doing weddings. I've hit different portions of burnout in my career. I've hit that threshold, and um recognized it soon enough in some cases where I was able to shift and make changes. There was a point where it just hit me and it overtook me, and that's where that 2 years kind of came out as well. But being able to recognize that and be like, oh, burnout is the reason why I'm considering it. What changes and shifts can I make? Or is it where you're just like, no, I just want my time back. I want to reprioritize my time with my family, with my friends. I just want my weekends back. I just want to sleep a little bit longer. Like, those are the kinds of things where it's like, okay, what is inspiring this? How much longer can I give myself if I haven't put a retirement plan in place? Now, you might be a long time listener and you're just like, well, I've only been doing this like 3 or 5 years. Is this conversation still for me? And if you've made it this long, I'm telling you, there's something about this conversation that is piquing your interest, because you've now made it through approximately 25 minutes or so of me talking about retirement and you haven't turned me off yet. So, this is the moment when I want to speak to you directly. Do not wait for burnout. Do not wait for your body to fail you because you can't put up with these long hours on your feet and these heavy kits. I have friends who literally their backs, their hips, their knees, their shoulders, like their body is quitting on them. They still want to do this, but they're like, fuck, I'm like in my 40s and I'm falling apart. I can't do this anymore. I go and I get a massage and I go to a chiropractor and stuff like that. And both the massage therapist and the chiropractor have both been like, hairstylists have the most fucked up bodies. Like, literally some of the most fucked up bodies that they work on, because we're standing there and contorting our bodies and moving our upper half so much and heavy lifting and hands above the head, and we're inhaling all of these things. Like, hairstylists and makeup artists, we fuck up our bodies through our career. And so, don't wait for your body to fail you and you're like, well, can't do this anymore, and then you're left scrambling. All right, the number one piece of advice that I can give to anybody and everybody when it comes to the topic of retirement is, don't wait. Don't wait for a plan. Don't wait for your body to fail. Don't wait for yourself to get so burnt out that you're like, I just can't do this anymore. create a plan. All right. So you want to give yourself kind of a rough idea. Like in a traditional desk job, we all start thinking like, okay, between 55 to 65, that's the average age when most people kind of retire. You can start collecting your Social Security at 65 or 63 or whatever it is. Okay, so that's like the traditional age that we think of as retirement. Some people's bodies, like I'm 40, I could never make it another 25 years doing this before I'm like, well, I'm retired. Like I would have to just be like, well, what other career can I go into that I can survive for another 25 years making income? So, no matter what your age is, think about it and be like, okay, how many more years do I have left in me? Do I feel like I can go for another 5 years? Do I feel like I can go for another 10 years? Do I feel like I can go for another 20 years? Like, you have to be honest with yourself and you have to consistently be open to reevaluating that timeline for yourself. So, you don't want to ever make anything set in stone. And especially like how COVID changed my retirement plan and my goals and everything like that, it shifted it in a completely different way. I never expected myself to be sitting here as a full-time educator, but yet here I am. That's what I'm doing. This is now my retirement plan. So um, at least having a pathway laid out for yourself, um, and having an idea and having goals for yourself. It will give you benchmarks, and when you hit certain benchmarks, you can reevaluate and be like, okay, um, this is the path that I want to continue down. This is the plan. The plan is going according to plan. Let's keep going. Or you hit a benchmark and you're like, I don't know. This might not be the right path for me. So by at least having an idea, you know where you're going. You're just not wandering aimlessly out there in the world being like, well, when my body feels, then I will retire. Or when I hate this job anymore, I will just go work in a salon, or I will just work for photographers. And then you're scrambling trying to figure out how to fill your days with something else that makes the same amount of money. So, number one, don't wait for burnout. Don't wait for your body to fail. Set some goals so you can create a path for yourself. And then, when you have this path created and you have these benchmarks and you have these goals, guess what's going to happen? Subconsciously, your business choices that you make are going to be in alignment with this overall plan. So when I knew that I wanted my time back before my kids went off to college, I was like, okay, right around this time, I was like, this is when I need to stop doing weddings. I need to stop doing weddings around 2022. So that way I can have 2023, 2024, and then the first half of 2025. My son's graduating in June of 2025. So I knew I wanted at least 2 solid years where I had as many weekends as possible, to give myself the opportunity to spend the time with him. Whether or not he wants to spend the time with me, that's, a teenager thing and I can't control that. But I wanted to at least still be present for him. So I knew, all right, this is my end goal. This is my end date. And originally I had gone back to school almost 10 years ago now, because again, I had this pathway in mind and I was like, okay, I don't want what's going on in my life to be the way that things always continue. What do I need to change? What changes do I need to make? Where do I want my life to go? And I made all of these choices that have been in alignment with, by the end of 2022, I was done doing weddings and I was able to stop in October of 2022. And I was like, okay, this is my last wedding. It was like October 29th or something like that. And I was able to be there and just be like, okay, I knew it. I knew it was done. So I could emotionally prepare myself. I could financially prepare myself, and just have this path and this plan that I was walking, and know that I was walking the right path. The thing that you need to do next is really kind of decide for yourself, what is this path going to look like? What is that end goal? What does that mean? Does it mean a new career? Does it mean not doing weddings but still staying in the wedding industry because you've built out a team? And so now you're just running the business side of things, which allows you to have your freedom with the weekends and the time, and not that stress on your body, all of those benefits, but you still get to be a part of the industry that you still have this love and this passion for. You still have the financial income and the benefits. You don't have to like start a whole brand new career, or you're just like, nope, I'm just going to make a whole new career for myself. Okay, so you're gonna start to build this plan of, well, what do I need to do? If my goal is to be a team, well, then obviously I need to start finding these people now, so that eventually I'm not doing the weddings anymore, and I'm just running the team. That is my job. Okay. Or are you just going to like retire and, be like, okay, I have saved up and I've created um, all of these investments, and I have passive income from other opportunities. And now I quit. I don't have a job anymore. I'm living off my savings. I'm living off my investments. I'm living off my passive income. That is an opportunity that you can create for yourselves. We'll talk a little bit more about the money side of things and like tip number 3 in just a few moments here. But that is an option, and you have to decide for yourself, like, is that something that I want to reach for? Is that an option that I think is going to actually be viable for me? And then as your skills evolve, it can open the door for new opportunities. I knew that I wanted to stop doing weddings, but I didn't stop with my education. Okay. I kept taking classes. I mean, even though I knew that I was eventually going to stop doing weddings, in February of 2020, I was at a in-person class in New York with Renee Marie. And I was taking an updo class with her because I was like, well, maybe I'll become an educator or something instead of just completely leaving the bridal industry. So I was, even back then, I was kind of thinking about it and going, okay, if I want to become an educator, what skills do I need right now in order to make that a viable path for me? I still ended up becoming an educator, but it shifted the topic, and I realized how much happier I am talking about business, because I can talk forever, guys, in case you haven't noticed yet. And business really truly is my passion. Talking about updos, yeah, I can educate the shit out of like how to do updos and things like that from my own artistic perspective, and from all of my own education. So it just does not light me up the way that talking about business does. And listening to all these different business and marketing podcasts and stuff like that. Part of me is kind of like, oh, I kind of miss my calling, maybe. I should have gotten a degree in business. I didn't. I originally was going to college to be a Shakespeare professor. Like, I wanted to work at a college and talk about Shakespeare all day, and direct plays and produce plays, and teach theater and all those kinds of things. So um, that was originally my career path, but it was like, if I look back at it, I'm like, I always felt a calling to educate people and to share um opportunities with people, to help people improve their own opportunities, to help people improve their own lives. And I feel so called to educate because I want to leave a mark on the world. Like, yes, I have children, and my blood will continue, and all these, like, biological urges why we have children, and procreate and things like that. But there's also this intrinsic motivation inside of me of, well, yes, I have created a new piece of myself, and I will always go on through my children and my children's children and my grandchildren, and all those kinds of things. But what is my mark on the world? That is what I've created physically, is a whole new person, yes. But what's my mark on the world? What have I done? Like, what have I created? Whose lives have I touched? How did I help people? How will I be remembered? How did I matter? There's so much to why I do what I do in the beauty industry, because I'm very, very strongly behind the message of like female empowerment and self-love, and um, loving how we look and being accepting of how we look and things like that. So I try and bring that message into everything, and making people feel beautiful and helping people see the beauty that's already within themselves. Super, super important. It's part of why the beauty industry called me because I wanted to help other people see the beauty within themselves. And so I've felt like that's fulfilled that intrinsic need within myself. And then I realized, well, if I'm not doing that with clients anymore, what's left? Like, how else can I continue to make an impact? How else can I continue to touch people's lives and change women's lives? And I'm like, well, I can help them have a really successful business. I can help them manage their time better and hopefully help them build healthier relationships with their friends and their family because they have more time and they're less stressed and they have more money. They're not a slave to their business anymore. The business is a slave to them to build their dreams. And so it all kind of fell together. So these are the kinds of things that you kind of need to think about within yourself. Um, what do I want to do? Why do I want to do it? What skills do I have now to help me do it? And then if there are new skills that I need to have in order to move on and be like, okay, well, now this is my career, this is my path. What do I need to put in? When I decided I wanted to be a business coach, cool, I can get on a podcast and I can talk through my ass. I can record some videos and I can sell them to people. I can create a bunch of suggestions and Instagram posts and things like that. I can respond to questions on Facebook. But does that make me a coach? Does that make me a good coach? Does that make me able to coach other people and help them work through things? Or is that just me spreading my opinion everywhere? So, what do I need if I want to be a successful business coach? What skills do I need? I need to understand marketing. I need to understand sales psychology. I need to understand different types of technology. I need to understand how to be more effective at Instagram so that I can market myself. And then I got so good at that that I was like, well, I see other people within this niche who are struggling. Let me create an entire course teaching them all that I've learned about marketing and Instagram specifically, and help fulfill again this new gap, this new um lack that I see in our industry. With Instagram, people get really super burnt out with Instagram, and they just copy what they see everybody else doing, and it feels like nobody really understands the why. Everybody is just like, well, this is what's working and that person got really popular, and because Instagram is literally just like the highlight reel of everybody's business, I'm assuming that what they're doing is working for them and they look like they're really successful and they look like they're really profitable. So I'm just going to copy them, and they're not understanding the why. So I was like, okay, here's a need. I learned all of this to market my own business to make me a better business coach, but in the long run, it's making me again a double effective coach because not only am I able to reach my broader audience to bring my message, but I'm able to help them do the same for their business. So you have to be open to consistently learning and consistently improving yourself. You can't just sit back and be like, well, I know what I know and I'm going to just keep running with it until I fall. Because then you're literally the only option at the end is you're just going to fall. You're just going to fall down because you don't have the support system there anymore. You don't have continuing education and new skills. It's the same thing within the beauty industry itself. It's why it's so important to continue to get more education on cutting techniques and coloring techniques and updo techniques and makeup techniques. Understanding if you're going to like start doing a spray tanning business, guess what? You don't just buy some solution in a machine and start fucking spraying people. That's not how it works. You have to understand, well, what's the chemistry behind this? You're spraying a chemical on a body and it's creating a chemical reaction. You're not spray painting a person. It's a chemical reaction between the products in the solution and the dead skin cells on the surface of the skin. You need to understand the chemistry side of things, of why things are happening, or else you're just going to have problems and you're not going to be able to navigate through them. You're just going to blow it off and be like, well, they didn't prep their skin properly. Or, this solution just isn't as good. Let me try another solution. And you're going to spin your wheels and you're going to waste your time and you're going to waste your money. You need to educate yourself. Okay. So there's so many different ways that we need to continue to be educating ourselves. Or we're just literally going to fall over one day because we no longer have the skills to support our career. And even if you're just like, well, I'm just going to find a new career. Cool. Guess what? A new career means, again, more education. You're going to need to learn something new at some point. Okay. So, last thing, all right, is the money side of things, because you can't just be like, okay, that's well and good, but how do I make sure that this can support me financially? Um, you don't just decide one day that you're suddenly going to become an educator and make a ton of money. Some people are super popular on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, and they have thousands of followers, and they're able to put together some type of education and sell it. Just a numbers game. They have so many followers that they're able to get at least enough people in initially. And then what you end up seeing is like they just keep putting it on sale. And they're just like, okay, well, I got all these people in initially, and let me just keep going with this content hamster wheel, and I just have to keep getting new eyes and new followers, and eventually I'm just going to keep selling to them. Um, and then they do that by over creating content or doing a lot of sales, or they just keep flooding the market with their education opportunities and stuff like that. So you can, but it's usually going to come in a big chunk. Okay. So education is a tricky field to get into. I'll be 100% honest. It's not a cash cow. Okay. It takes a lot of work, and there are a lot of moving pieces. There's a lot of technology involved to it. And there's a lot of moving pieces between softwares and things that you have to do. I mean, you can cobble it all together and you can, crackerjack it, but there's a lot of moving pieces to it. So at the very least, one, you got to educate yourself on that. And two, you have to have a backup plan. Okay. So you can't just jump into it and just be like, okay, I got 100 students into my course and that's it. And then like you're done. That's not going to be enough to sustain you. I mean, it might be, enough income to replace 1 year's worth of income. Okay. That's cool. What are you going to do for year two? All right. So what you can do right now is, while you're working towards your retirement plan with either growing a team, building new skills, shifting more into education, all of those kinds of things. Start saving now. It's really important to make sure that you are putting enough money away to sustain you during the growth phase of what's going to be your next plan. So if you're going to go from what your career is now, that's your plan A, and your plan B is that retirement. There's going to be a growth period. You have to grow plan B to be big enough to take over plan A. All right. So start saving now. How do you start saving? Okay. The very first thing is to make sure that you have a debt management system. You want some type of process to take care of making sure that you don't have any extra that you have to be paying off. You don't want to retire in debt. Okay. There's so many different methods to it. Not everybody does like the Dave Ramsey method. Okay. Not everybody does it that way. There's like the Dave Ramsey method. There's the Susie Orsman method. Like there's so many different ways. You have to kind of start to really look into them and research them and find what's going to work for you, for your personality, for your lifestyle, for your income currently, what your income goals are going to be. I'm not going to educate on that. All right. That's not my area of genius. I do have a mini course called Money Management for Bridal Artists. It's being re-recorded and will be released sometime in July. So if you are somebody who is like, I want to manage the money side of, excuse me, my bridal business right now and all the money that I'm currently making, you can do that. And I have a mini course that's available for that piece, because I see, it's another gap in the industry that I was like, okay, I'm really good at this. I'm really good at managing my cash flow within my business so that I can treat my family to trips to Universal Studios and pay myself a $10,000 year-end bonus. I always have a slush fund to go into if I'm sick and I have to take time off, or I want to do a spur of the moment vacation. Those kinds of things. I've always been really good at managing the cash flow of my business to not only pay my bills, but to fund the lifestyle that I want and to put away for retirement. So getting yourself out of debt is the first step to doing that, so that you can start from a fresh slate. So doing that is that first kind of step. You need to, pay off all the debt, start from the clean slate. Another person who's better with the whole debt thing can help you with that. I can help you with managing your cash flow now. However, you want to start putting away, a nest egg. You want to be able to have this emergency fund to fund you when things are slow. And then, like when I was growing the education side of things, there were times where I didn't have the time to commit to both. So I had to pull back from doing weddings and accepting so many contracts and the retainers and the payments for the weddings and things like that. I needed the time to build up the business side. So that was that growth phase. So I needed all of this extra money before I was like, okay, I can start cutting back on weddings to grow the business side of things. I needed enough money to have that. That was my little nest egg. I also highly recommend having some type of retirement fund. Um, Retirement funds aren't just for people with corporate jobs. Okay. It's really important, even as a small business owner and running your own business, that you still continue to put money towards your retirement. So when you're at 65, you don't want to have to keep running your own small business if you don't want to. Being a small business owner and not having a corporate job with a traditional 401k kind of thing doesn't mean you just work until you die. You still get to retire at traditional retirement age if you have a good retirement fund. And there are individual retirement funds. You can, again, that's the type of thing that I Google, research it, because it's going to be different for everybody else and depending on, what country you're in and all those kinds of things. But you can fund your own individual retirement fund. There's so many different methods to doing it. And then the last thing also I want to talk about briefly when it comes to the money side of things is investments. So, even though I work for myself, and I will admit I'm not like super fucking wealthy, I still make sure to take some of my money and put it into investments. So my husband has, the traditional desk job kind of thing. He works for the government and whatnot. So he has the 401k for him, and yes, I'll get to benefit from it. He has some of the family money. I have like a set month that I pay towards the family bills every month. And then like the excess, he takes it and he does investments. Their investments are in both of our names, but I didn't want to just be like, well, I work for my own money, and then when I retire, I'm going to have to live off of whatever my husband's able to put aside for us. I didn't feel, one, that was very fair to him, and two, what if, God forbid, like we get divorced or he passes away or something, and that's like not my option anymore. I wanted to take control of my own options. And so I do have some of my own individual investments. There are a couple of different methods that I've done over the years. There's a company called Acorns. There's a couple other companies that are really similar, where basically like it links to your bank account and it rounds up any transactions that come through on like your debit card or your credit card or whatever. Or you can have it to set to pull a set amount of money out of your account each month, and it takes that and it invests it for you. So you're saying like, okay, you can do even just like $5 a month, okay? And you can say, I'll take those $5 a month and invest it for me, and then over time it grows. Obviously, it's at the will of the people that they have investing it for you in the stock market and things like that, but at least it's doing something for you. It's not just sitting there in a bank account, like gaining interest, because interest is bullshit when it comes to modern day banking. Okay. Like putting it in a savings account, that doesn't do shit for you. Your money has to grow. Otherwise, it actually is worth less over time. Like if you just put your money in a savings accounts these days do not cover the cost of inflation. So if you have $100 and it's sitting there in the bank account and it's gaining, you know, a 0.5% of interest or 1% interest, because that's what you can get with savings accounts these days. The cost of living, general inflation, from 2022 to 2023 was 7%. If your savings account is not making at least that 7%, your $100 is not worth $100 anymore. Your $100 is only worth what you can buy with it, what you can get for $100. If you can't get $100 worth of stuff anymore because things are 7% more expensive, your $100 is not even worth $100 anymore. So putting it into a savings account is really unhealthy and unsafe for your financial, um, your financial growth and your financial stability. So you want to find a way where it's gaining at least more than inflation. So with things like acorns, you're at least getting some positive growth from it, and it's not just sitting there at like the 1% or the 0.5% or whatever. I do find other opportunities, like one of the companies that I use to record this podcast right now is called Zencaster, and it was a smaller company. I started using it. It was a free service. I upgraded to their pro program or whatever. And then they came out with an opportunity where they were like, hey, we're kind of going public and we're looking for investors. And if you get in as an early investor, you can invest as little as $100 and you get these XYZ benefits and whatever. So I was like, okay, $100. Like, I'll put $100 into that and we'll see where that grows. I saw the potential with this company, and it was a thing that I use myself. So I was like, okay, this is an amazing company. I really stand behind them and I believe in them. I'm going to put some money behind them to help them grow. That'll hopefully make me more money. So there are opportunities like that. If you look around, you can find those kinds of things, or you can put together small amounts and start investing in like the S&P 500 and things like that. So research investing for small business owners, and you'll find a wealth of opportunities out there. So I'm going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube. If you're watching it on the video side of things, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please let me know. Is this a topic that you want me to go more into? Is this something that you feel like you would be interested in, maybe a mini course or a more in-depth masterclass or something on? Is it something that I can create a downloadable or a printable resource for you, like a workbook or planning sheets or things like that? So is this a topic that you enjoyed? Because it is very different from what I've talked about before, but I felt like it was still a really important and relevant conversation to have. Give me some feedback. Let me know. Send me a DM on Instagram. Leave me a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Those make my day all the time. I really appreciate it. It takes just a few moments of your time, and it helps to spread the growth of the podcast. So it really has a great impact on my life for just a few moments of your time. And let me know in that review, like, did you really enjoy this episode, this topic today? Or if you're watching this on the YouTube video, or if you're listening to it and when it comes out on YouTube, you want to go and leave your comments and your feedback on the YouTube. Go ahead, let me know. Tell me in the comments. Again, is this something that you enjoyed? Would you like a deeper conversation? And how would you like me to present that? Through a masterclass, through a mini course, or some downloadable resources for you? So Thank you again so much. That's going to be it for today's episode. We're not going to do the affirmations and any of the other things. I'm sure you could probably hear by now. I think I have reached the maximum velocity of my voice, like or terminal velocity. Like we're going to crash and we're going to be goo at the end of this episode. I need to go make myself some tea. So that's what happens when you're sick for a few weeks and then you try and cram all of your recording in 24 hours or so. But again, thank you so much for listening. And the next 2 weeks worth of podcast episodes are already pre-recorded. I have some great interviews coming up about opening a solo salon suite and becoming a destination makeup artist. Two different pathways, interviews with other professionals for that. And then we will be back later on in July with the traditional podcast format where it's just me talking to you. So, see you guys next week. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope you feel empowered, knowledgeable, and capable of handling anything that your business throws your way. Don't forget to subscribe to get access to new episodes as they are released here on YouTube, or tune in on Apple Podcasts and Spotify for the latest conversations. Love today's episode? Let me know. Leave me a comment and tell me what your biggest takeaway was from the conversation. Have a request for a future topic or someone you'd like to hear me interview? Find me on Instagram at Beauty Biz Collective and drop me a DM. And if you're hungry for more actionable content to help you grow your bridal business, click the link in the description below this video to sign up for my free on-demand training to learn how to book better quality brides faster, easier, and with less stress. See you next time.